Okay, do you see it on the YouTube? I can't really look at it. So
All right, I'm on the page. I'm on the YouTube page.
Okay.
I think it's officially live.
Okay, great. So hi everyone, it's Navy Brat. Welcome.
And this is Depth Charge.
And welcome to our live stream. So it's election weekend, and we wanted to talk about the upcoming election.
And thank you, Navy Brat, for having me on, having us on. It's a very, very cordial of you to invite me to your channel.
That's of course. This is really an exciting election. There's a lot of drama and politics going around, so we wanted to chat with you guys and get your input on some of these topics as well. So we're going to start off and we're going to talk about our personal beliefs and why we decided to make YouTube channels. So personally, I decided to make a YouTube channel because I noticed that a lot of young people in my generation, they really are unaware of the current state of the world and politics. So I wanted to make a channel to where people my age could relate and get a better understanding of what is going on. And also, I was a liberal. I had some liberal thoughts, but I really wanted to make a YouTube channel because a lot of people think that when you're black, you can't be conservative, and it's obviously not true. And I felt like we needed more visibility. People need to see that just because you are black or any color, you don't have to vote Democrat because that's what you've been raised to do or that's what you've been told to do. And I really want to show people that you can expand your mind and it's okay to have different beliefs than other people.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing, Navy Brat. So I think I went all out in the end of July, beginning of August, and I didn't just start posting content to one YouTube channel or two, but I thought it'd be a good idea outside of my day job to pursue 3 YouTube channels at once. So apparently I just want to get YouTube famous really, really badly or something. Who knows? But I run 3 YouTube channels, and I'm very, very new at it. Certainly learning a lot every day. Depth Charge Media is what I consider my main channel, where I can talk about pretty much anything I want: politics, sports, religion, anything. And then I have Depth Charge Video Games, which is self-explanatory about video games. And then Depth Charge Math is an educational channel of the 3, where I just do math problems on my kitchen counter. And so it's been an experience. Very little sleep is involved in making these videos. And so it's been rewarding, though. I've gotten to know a lot of people. I've got to, meet people, quote-unquote, meet people from all over the country and all over the world. Get connected to Navy Brat and invited on her channel. It took me a long time to finally post content to YouTube. I've had these channels for a while, many, many years before I actually took the plunge, and just happy to be here. As far as my political beliefs are concerned, I've been conservative libertarian most of my life. I had a time in high school when I kind of flirted with the ideas of a liberal progressive way of thinking, but I've just limited government, low taxes, low spending, as if that is a thing in Washington D.C. It's something I always hope for. Personal accountability, personal responsibility. Those are things that I've believed most of my life, and I really like what you said, Navy Brat, as far as just not being put in a box. Like we are, I'm so thankful that we live in a country that was founded on individual rights and individual pursuits, as opposed to groupthink and you have to vote this way, you have to vote that way, based on this or that. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing in this election season is that coming out. How dare you support Trump? How dare you consider not voting for Biden because of this or that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I noticed that a lot of of my community, I am black, so a lot of my community, they vote Democrat just because their family did. I personally did as well. And even when you question them and ask, well, why do you vote Democrat? They really don't have a response. That is their response. And for some reason, they don't feel like they need to think beyond their beliefs. And at this time in America, that's really troubling, because if you look at the Democrat Party from the beginning, they've always had an issue with racism or treating all colors with disrespect. It seems like every election they are using them just for a vote. They make promises that they really don't keep, and at the end of the election season, they just kick them to the curb. So it's really troubling to me that people don't see that, and that's another reason why I've got my channel, is I really want to wake people up, and even if they don't decide to vote Republican, just get them to start thinking out of the box, and let them know that it's okay. Of course, as the black conservative, I get a ton of backlash, but when you are strong in your beliefs, that helps. And I think a lot of people, they might even feel like they have conservative values, but because of the constant backlash that they receive from everyone, it might put people in a position where they don't really want to talk about it at all, or even think about it.
Well, yeah, definitely good points there. We have a third member of our live stream, don't we? Want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Kevin, and I don't have a YouTube channel, so I guess I'm the odd man out here. But I know you, Depth Charge, and have come to know Navy Brat through you, and so I am a conservative, and I guess the biggest thing with me with my political views really comes down to my religious views at the same time. And so I wouldn't so much consider myself a Republican. I do lean that way, and I do vote that way the majority of the time, but it's mainly because the majority of the time the Republicans and their views go along with my religious views and my beliefs that are the foundation for the way that I vote. And so that's kind of where I come from on my political side. Yeah.
Well, why don't you have a YouTube channel, Kevin? You got to join the fun. Who needs sleep, right?
Yeah. Well, between my job, I get very little sleep as it is for the majority of the year. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of extra time to do that. And then being a father, that takes up the rest of the time. So
yeah.
And that's definitely understandable.
All right. I guess you want to go on to the next topic?
Sure. So our next topic is the presidential debates. Personally, I thought the debates were more comedic than anything, especially the first one. It was kind of a mess. I did feel like, obviously I'm for Trump, so I do feel like he did make some good points, but he was also really fired up, and the moderator really didn't help with the situation. I don't really feel like he was a great moderator. It seemed like when it came to Trump, he was a lot more aggressive. He didn't really give him his time, and when Biden was asked questions, he was asked softball questions like Trump says, and he was able to cut Trump off, and it really felt like he was babying Biden, and it felt like Trump was debating two people instead of just Joe Biden.
Well, I think what we're seeing here, Joe Biden is, I think, the most fascinating political figure in some, just obviously got to be careful how you say that, but in many ways he is the most fascinating political figure in American history. Because do y'all know the first time Joe Biden ran for president? Like the first time he ever declared himself a candidate to be a Democratic nominee for president?
No.
30 years ago, Joe Biden attempted to run for president. So he's literally been running for president for 30 years, off and on. Not every 4 years, but like 1988, he ran for president, and he's saying the same stuff where he changes the stuff. Like he there was the voter in Iowa during the primary, and Joe Biden was just like, it's just a bunch of nonsense, because that's what Joe Biden does, and he's been babied his entire political career, asked softball questions. When he's asked hard questions, he throws a hissy fit, and he acted the same way 30 years ago, and it's much worse now because of his cognitive decline.
What happened to him? This is the third time that he's run, right?
At least the third. Right, he ran in '88.
Right.
Didn't he run in '08? He did. Yes. Obviously, Obama got the nomination and chose Biden as his running mate. Did Biden run in '98? That wasn't election year. Sorry. Okay, so he would have run in 2000 was Gore's, because Gore was the incumbent, was the vice president. So it had to, right. So Biden's run for president 3 times in the last 30 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me. Yeah. 98, 08, and 2020. I don't think.
What were the reasons? He dropped out of 2 of those. The reasons were that he dropped out.
The worst was 88. Right, with the plagiarism thing and the whole, I've got 3 college degrees, and I finished in the top of my class, was a total loss. And so I guess we just kind of forgot that happened 30 years ago, and all is forgiven when you run for president, in 2020. In 08, I don't think he dropped out, he just didn't win the state. Because in 08, it was the main front runners were Obama and Hillary Clinton, right? In 08, I think Biden was kind of an afterthought. He just became the vice president in 08.
Right.
So.
I don't think I was old enough to vote then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, American politics. The first presidential race that I ever followed was in '96. And I was in high school, and I had no idea what was going on. And it was Dole Clinton. I actually watched the presidential debates during government class. Dole Clinton, and I was just a lot to process. And Clinton was a smooth talker. I mean, that's one of the reasons why he did so well.
That he could play the sax.
Oh, he's just and there's just certain candidates, that are just beloved by, the media, and it's just a shame. We have such a dysfunctional media.
Right.
We just, be competent, and they're not. Just at least pretend to be objective. We know you're not, CNN.
Well, maybe Brett was saying on the debates.
Mm-hmm.
The first one I thought was kind of out there. President Trump was going after him pretty hard. But I really liked the way President Trump took on the second debate.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I felt like he allowed Biden to hurt himself by talking.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can't carry on for more than just a couple of sentences without losing track of where he was.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, it was, and I don't think I watched any of the first debate. I think I may have watched a clip or two. I watched more of the second debate because I just knew. You'd think these mainstream media outlets could figure out how to do a debate. And it's just like the Chris Walsh debate. Was it just? Maybe Brett, did you see most of it or all of it? And Kevin, did you see most of it or all of it, the first debate?
I did.
Right. Was it just a bunch of nonsense?
Yeah. I felt like Biden was getting softball questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Trump was cutting him off a lot.
Oh yeah.
After him a lot, which personally I don't have a problem with. I like the fact that he's an aggressive president.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that he's not going to lay down for anyone. I like that about him. That's just a personal belief of mine. That's just something that I like. We are in America, and I don't want to see us lay down for anybody or bow down to anybody or apologize to anybody. That's just my belief. But the second one, I felt like he really did a good job of allowing him to ramble on, say whatever crazy things were coming through his head as he went, which he did eventually with the whole thing about moving away from any type of fossil fuel and ending fracking. So,
Oh yeah.
go ahead. What did? How do you feel about that? Maybe that the whole fracking issue with.
Yeah, I feel like they pretty much just let, like I was saying, they babied Biden, and it really didn't seem like Trump was given a fair chance, and he did interrupt a lot, but I feel like it was because he was just getting super frustrated. I mean, because it was obvious that it was an unfair debate. I mean, even from the beginning, I could tell it was just going to be a joke.
Yep.
Right, and I really thought with Chris Wallace it would have been better before the debate. I really thought it was going to be a pretty fair.
See, and hasn't Chris Wallace had his moments of being really good and fair with both Democrats and Republicans in his career? But just right. But I mean, like, and I've seen so many debate moments over the years where like the moderator basically becomes a second debater, and it's just like, be professional. And so, but Welker was much better, wasn't she, as far as actually being a decent moderator compared to Wallace?
I thought she did good, but what bothered me is that it seemed like she was making sure, in the beginning at least, she made sure that she cut Trump off and didn't really let him finish a thought. But when it came to Biden, she actually stopped saying the time after a while, and that really it really annoyed me because, I mean, it was obviously biased. They muted him a few times. I don't personally recall them muting Biden at all, honestly.
Yeah.
I agree. They would cut Trump off whenever he was at his 2-minute mark or close to it. But when Trump was talking, you could always hear Biden making his little smirk and his little comments. Even though he was doing it to himself, but he wasn't muted. Yet when Biden was doing his, Trump was muted. You know, it was a one-sided thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, the press. I mean, there used to be a little bit of at least attempt at objectivity and an attempt by the Democratic Party to conceal the stuff that we know what they are. We know what they want. We know what the Democratic Party wants. They want to just ban guns and confiscate them. And they're now admitting it. To their credit, whatever that's worth, they're now admitting it. And at least, like CNN it's the Trump network. Just Trump all day, every day. And they admit it. That it's just like, we got to focus on Trump all the time. And it's just like, there are other stories, at some time, besides just, not that you shouldn't talk about Trump and hold him accountable as the president, absolutely.
Well, it's just ironic because everything that Trump does is criticized. And, I mean, even Donald Trump Jr. was investigated, and he wasn't running for president. However, now we've got this issue with Biden's son, and he's not running for president either, of course, but the allegations against him are pretty bad, and nobody wants to talk about it. He doesn't want to talk about it, and there weren't any legitimate allegations against Donald Trump, but they still went for the full investigation, and it's just like you said, they don't even try to hide their bias anymore.
No. Well, the Democrat liberal side, from what I've seen over the years, and it's just like we said, it's not even hiding anymore. Like one side gets due process and one side doesn't. Like that's just what it is. And on the Democrat side, from the leadership of the Democrat side, like they even say it, like Trump's got to prove his innocence. Like no, he doesn't. And so Hunter Biden is innocent until proven guilty, obviously. But it's just like, you know,
But that
these.
that
Go ahead.
goes with anyone. That goes
Absolutely.
with anyone. No different than Brett Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm.
It's always it's always guilty until proven innocent.
Oh yeah.
Never, unless you're on the left.
Oh gosh.
It's guilty until proven innocent.
And they set themselves up for just utter failure in.
No. Mm-hmm. Sure. So recently, Kamala Harris has been introduced as the president, and well, actually, Joe Biden said that he was going to be her running mate, and he even said, "You guys think I'm kidding?" And laughed about it, and I don't think that I saw anybody on the left report about that. And even most recently in Fort Worth, she was introduced as the president. Even I think her husband said that he's married to the next president, and I think it's pretty obvious that if Biden were to win, they would definitely be having her as the president, because it wasn't their first choice. Biden, I feel like they settled with Biden as their Democratic choice, and he doesn't really seem fit.
The Democratic primary was something else, because we literally got two candidates. The Democratic Party got two candidates who were neck and neck, it seemed, and they both only had the ability to serve one term, if at all. And it's just like, and so I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people are voting for Joe Biden knowing they're actually voting for Kamala Harris. They know it, because Biden can't talk in complete sentences unless he's babied. Period. So, President Harris, I mean, and if there's anything I know about President Harris, it'll be executive order after executive order. She comes from California. That's what Gavin Newsom does. He rules by executive order and just by fiat. She's from that brand of politics.
Yeah. You know what really I wondered about is whenever that happened, there was no correction made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not even by her as she came on the stage. You know, I would think there would be a, hey, sorry, this happened. I'm not running for president.
Right.
I'm future vice president. You know, but yeah, he's not even going against it now.
Yeah, and I think it's just really wrong. I mean, obviously, we don't agree with any of their choices, but I feel like it's really wrong that they are deceiving their base. You know, people are I don't think a lot of people really even like Kamala Harris, to be honest. I mean, I know that in California, many people do not like her because of her history. I mean, she kept people in jail past their release date. She had people that were on death row, and she had evidence, and she didn't release it until it was too late for them. So she's also locked people up for, marijuana crimes, and she just doesn't run her state well, or it doesn't seem like anybody really supports her. And so I feel like it's really wrong to deceive their fan base, because the people that are voting for Biden, they want Biden. If they wanted Kamala Harris, then, if they're going to switch it, they should at least be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, all that stuff, Tulsi Gabbard called her out on all that stuff during the primary.
Oh, yeah.
And she was calling her out on all of her policies from California way back then. And it's the same thing where we were talking before, where she calls out Biden on all this stuff earlier. I don't understand the whole situation where you get on stage and you call someone out and you talk about all of these things, but yet you're still willing to be their running mate later on, whenever you've already discredited them for being the president of the United States. It's just different. I don't know.
Well, I read an account, and it's tough being in my position, because I'm not a political analyst. I'm not, this is a side hobby. Politics is a side hobby, so I just got to be careful in how I word things. But when I read this account, I totally believed it.
I would need to do my due diligence to actually state it. I believe that is fact, but I believe it as a concept, which is that I read that Trump took lots and lots of time and interviewing to find Mike Pence as his running mate, and then I heard that Joe Biden just and his team just didn't. They just chose Kamala Harris, and without very much vetting and due diligence. And I totally believe that. I can't prove it, but I believe it on face value. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I would say it's plausible. It's much more plausible, on the Democrat side, I think, than Trump's a businessman. He's not just gonna pick a vice presidential candidate on a whim.
Exactly. I was actually in support of Trump when I first found out that he was going to be running, because, we all watched The Apprentice, and his name is everywhere. He seemed like he was a great businessman, so that's why I initially wanted him. But when I saw how they were speaking about him in the media, unfortunately, I believed it, because I was still watching the news at that point.
Yeah. Well, they might as well just admit, every quote that Trump says, I don't believe any account I see at face value when it comes to, interpreting a quote from Trump. Because Trump does a lot of trolling. Trump talks very crude, as if that's a new thing. He was on The Apprentice for 15 years, and he was very rude to people. And I don't approve of that. I don't approve of his rhetoric at all. I don't approve of what he said about Colin Kaepernick and other NFL players. I don't approve of that. But it's American politics, and it's being in the life of a celebrity. You got to call out bad behavior when you see it, and there's not an infinite number of candidates to vote for, unless of course you do the write-in ballot, which I would never do. You got to pick a candidate. Who's your candidate when you vote, if you choose to vote?
Yeah, well, see, and I actually like that. Even though you don't agree with all of his rhetoric, it still doesn't deter you from supporting him.
Right.
I find that a lot of my friends that I have tried to speak to Trump about, that's what their main reason is. They're like, well, I don't like his personality, and my rebuttal for that is, if we were judging everybody off of everything they said, nobody would ever be able to be successful. Nobody would ever be able to progress, because we've all got qualities that maybe aren't that likable, But it's more important to look at the whole, look at what he's doing, look at the policies he's doing. I'm not voting for him, or I didn't vote for him because he is, some role model that I aspire to be like. I voted for him because of what he's doing for our country.
Well, it's just the contrast is there. Go ahead, Kevin. What were you going to say?
I was agreeing with what Navy Pratt was saying. Is that I'm not. Yes, you are somewhat voting for a person, but I'm voting for what they stand for and what they're going to do. And he's done everything that he said he was going to do. And to me, when it goes back to, like I was talking about earlier, as far as the way that I vote and where I'm going to judge what I'm going to be voting for, is more for the policies and the laws that are going to be put into place versus what the person has done in their past. And to me, that is what is important. Because I'll see people say, well, I can't vote for this person because he did X, Y, Z 20 or 30 years ago. But what do they stand for? Where, just look at the judges that have been appointed.
That's huge. That's huge. Because
those things are huge. For me, in the values and where I stand on certain things. And, I am pro-life, and I'm going to vote for somebody that is pro-life. I am, I want a small government. I want a huge economy. I want all of those things that he's doing. I am pro-immigration through legal ways. Just like him. I am, all of the things that I'm voting for are things that are on the ballot. Not so much the person as much as what's going to happen when they're in office. And because of what he's done over this time so far, I know that whatever he says is going to be done is going to get done in the next 4 years.
Well, if we see a second term of President Trump, which I hope we do, and it's just like the Democratic Party, in my mind, they're done. They need to break apart, and it's an unrecognizable party than it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and if they could just break apart in at least two factions, I think that'd be good for the country. And it's just like the next Democrat president, whoever that may be, I just cringe at the thought, because it's just like they say what they want. They want to go door to door and just confiscate guns. Veto. He says it. And Biden wants to have veto in his administration. So it's like there is no wiggle room around what they want. Want to take guns. AR-15, which is just single-shot weapons. Just like handguns or single-shot weapons, semi-automatic.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden has even come out and said that they're going to take our guns. And
absolutely.
I mean, personally, I was against guns before I decided to vote for Trump. And now that I am for Trump, I've gone to the gun range. I actually had a great time shooting at the range. And what I understand now is anybody could have a gun, but it depends on how you're trained and how you use it, and by taking away guns from people that use them in the correct way just allows criminals to have more free range. I mean, just because you ban it, if somebody wants a gun, they're going to go find it. And it's really just placing more guns into a criminal's hands, in my opinion.
Well, the gun can't be uninvented. That's the thing. And what is it? There's more guns out there than people in people's homes, just out there. So it's like, we're coming for your guns. We're coming for your AR-15s. It's just like, okay. Good luck with that. And what I don't fully understand, kind of doing, it's just like, AR-15s shoot a single bullet
with
with
every
every
pull
pull
of
the
trigger.
trigger.
A
A
handgun,
handgun,
has a single bullet for every pull of the trigger. So it's like, what's the difference? Well, the difference is in motion, I think. AR-15s look scary.
Right.
So
they
accomplish the same thing,
don't they?
I mean,
I
I
noticed
noticed
semi-automatic.
semi-automatic. I know AR-15s are semi-automatic, just like handguns are.
And
They're both and rifles and handguns are both used by the military. Like AR-15s are not military-grade weapons. Like they're not like designed for the military. As far as they're civilian weapons, right? They're civilian weapons.
Okay, so about the masks, how do you guys
Yes.
feel about the masks? I'm in Vegas, and we have a mask mandate here. We've had a mask mandate the entire time. I personally think it's absolutely silly, and I'm not to be rude or anything. I'm kind of embarrassed when I see people walking around with a mask on outside or in their car. I mean, at this point, why is everybody so afraid is my question. I mean, if you're sick, okay, I guess I could understand, but most people are not sick. They're fine, they're healthy, so I just don't really see the point of wearing the mask, and it kind of makes me sad that people are just so comfortable with it that they don't question it, they just do it.
Well, funny you should mention that. And now it's time for, I guess, a little shameless self-promotion. I just released a video a few hours ago before this live stream on my main channel, Devin Church Media, about masks. And my take is similar to yours, maybe, Brad, where it's just like, I want to take this seriously. It is a real virus. I'm not saying the virus is a hoax. It's a real virus. We should take it seriously. But we were told in March something very different than we're told now. Things change. We learn new things about the virus. And it is different in some respects to swine flu, but it's just like trade-offs. That's one of the main points of my video on my main channel. Trade-offs. What are the trade-offs of mask mandates versus voluntary mask wearing? What are the trade-offs of just masks in general, the general populace? And we're seeing it.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, no problem.
Are we
Good to go?
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I'm more wondering about people when I see them driving down the road with the mask on and the only person in the car. Also worried about people when I see them out jogging with a mask on. Like, what are you doing? You're out by yourself, jogging down the road, wearing a mask. You think you're going to run through a COVID paper or something? I'm not sure what they're doing. I really don't know. In my job, I have to wear a mask. It becomes just kind of hard. I don't really think about it a whole lot more. It's annoying. But for us to be able to do what I do, we have to follow the rules. I don't know. I'm happy with where I live. The fact that we do get to do the things that we're doing. Being that with my background and my profession, that a lot of states aren't able to do what we do right now. So I'm okay with it because of that reason. We get to play sports and do different things that I don't know if they get to do where you're at, maybe, Brad, but I know in California and other places they're not getting to do the things that we're doing. But I'm kind of at the point where, if you can show me the science and the data and show me that it will do certain things, then I'm all for protecting people. I have no problem with protecting someone else. I don't. But what is for right now? I mean, right now, what is the trade-off? Where are we at? Is it giving us what we need to save all of his lives? And I go back. We were talking about this earlier. Everybody wants to blame everything on Trump. Trump said this, Trump said that. Well, Trump was taking what was given to him. Fauci wouldn't help. I mean, we got Fauci at a baseball game not wearing a mask. Well, so how can you blame President Trump for saying, okay, wear a mask if you want, don't if you don't want, whatever. Whenever his medical professionals are doing the same thing. So I don't know. I wonder how much of it is real and how much of it is political. Just like every ad that I see on TV right now for Biden is COVID. Everything that you hear for Biden is COVID. They're saying that whatever the percentage of people are, they're more worried about COVID than they are about the economy. And I do believe what the president says in the fact that the cure can't be worse than the problem. And that's where we're at right now. So you go shut us down again. Man, I don't know what we're doing. I know it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard. People that we're told that your job is not essential. You're not essential, but yet a liquor store is essential. A gym. Well, we have new ideas and new concepts. Yeah. But new concepts were invented literally in March. Go ahead. Yeah. So I mean, that's just I don't know. I wonder about masks like you. Brad, I don't understand when I see someone out jogging wearing a mask. I don't understand when I see someone in their own vehicle or in their vehicle with their own family wearing masks. If I'm going to go into a hospital, okay, maybe I'll put a mask on. If I'm going to protect someone else or myself, because they have certain issues, certain conditions. But yeah, I'm kind of over it.
Well, one of the points I make in my video on my main channel is that if we're going to do this mask thing correctly, then no neck gaiters. Seriously. No neck gaiters and no bandanas. But that's not what we're doing.
Well, no face shields. What is the face shield?
Are they being bothered? The face shield, I mean, all it does is redirect. Right. Yeah. It impairs your vision. I've worn a face shield for 2 hours straight. It's awful. Yeah. But like when you go in the store, maybe, Brad, is it masks in Las Vegas when you go in the store?
Everyone is wearing a mask. I honestly don't really go out too much, but when I do go out, everyone is wearing a mask. Even like on the strip, people walking outside are wearing masks, and it's hot in Vegas, which I just don't get it at all. When I'm wearing a mask if I wear a mask outside, it gets so sweaty in there. It's uncomfortable, and I just can't do it, and I'm not going to do it. It makes me feel like I'm going to pass out. Even I have gone into the store a few times without wearing a mask, and like I was at the grocery store, and I just wanted to see like if anybody would tell me to wear a mask. And I was standing at the milk section, and I turned around, and this guy was just giving me the death stare, and he was 6 feet away from me, and I am obviously sure it was because I was not wearing a mask. And it's just so crazy how our fellow citizens are so ready to condemn us for not wearing a mask instead of, coming together and rising up against it. I just don't understand why everybody is just so comfortable with them telling them to wear a mask. Especially the CDC came out and said that they never said that everyone is supposed to wear a mask. They said that you should wear a mask if you feel like you are sick or, so you don't spread it. They never said everybody that's healthy has to wear a mask. And I've even seen people that have gotten staph infections because, maybe they're not cleaning it, or, that then you have bacteria in your mouth that comes up from your gut. And so if that's sitting in the mask all day, if you're at work, for instance, it's just not healthy. I don't even need to have a medical degree to tell you it's not healthy. You're smelling your own breath all day, and that's what you're inhaling. We need oxygen to breathe. You're not getting oxygen. You're not getting oxygen to your brain, and not even being funny, I feel like the lack of oxygen is really making people unable to think clearly.
Well, we're playing a dangerous game in our country and around the world, where we're literally covering up both orifices that are orifices where we breathe, covering them up, and for extended periods of time, long periods of time. And like I said, if we were going to do it right, because that's impossible, that we would be N95 surgical masks. Neck gaiters literally can make it worse. But when I see people wearing neck gaiters, they're not bothered. It's just, okay, you're doing your due diligence wearing a neck gaiter. No, you're not. If that's the route we're going to go. So, but Kevin, like just neck gaiters are a thing, aren't they? They're really popular, aren't they?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm going to wear. I mean,
absolutely. Convenient.
And it's, it keeps people off my back,
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's just, we have, and I believe that this is part, this is going a little bit farther, but I believe this is part of the socialist agenda, is we are pushing fear. They want people to live in fear, and I believe that's where we are right now. People are so afraid, and they want to live in this fear area of their lives instead of living on faith, not fear. This virus, I'm not saying it's not real. It's real. I have a good friend who had it, and my brother had it, and it wasn't fun. But I'm not going to go around and just live like we're at war or something. I mean, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to live my life. I'm very lucky, I guess. The small community that I live in, they've lifted the mask mandate. We don't wear a mask anywhere we go.
Really?
No, not in my
Must be nice.
Now,
That's
fantastic.
if I go to the next town over, and I have to go to Walmart or H-E-B or anything, yes, they still have it. It's a larger town, but this is a small town. I don't know if we even have one active case in our whole county right now. So they've lifted that. I go to Dollar General. I go to Dairy Queen or whatever. I don't wear one. And I'm the good thing is the majority of the people in this community, they're not going to say anything about it. And if you want to wear one, wear one. It's your choice. I'm not going to mask anybody. If they want to wear it, fine. I don't know what their personal issue is. They may have medical issues that I don't know about. But for me, being a healthy person, I don't. And more than that, I'm just going to live my life in fear that I'm going to catch something. I mean, it's flu season. I'm not going to go around afraid to talk to people because I might catch the flu either. It's just not going to happen. But I mean, in your larger areas, more populated areas, they still have the mask mandate.
Yeah, I'm very thankful where I live as well. Small town here in Texas where it's pretty chill. I wear a mask pretty much everywhere. I'm in the grocery store with my mask. I see people walking around with no mask and nobody cares. So it's pretty chill here. Other places it's not so chill. We've seen the videos, haven't we? Those viral videos of all this hysteria when it comes to mask wearing or no mask wearing. Getting arrested. Not fun.
Ridiculous.
Not fun at all. And I can't afford, for my day job, I can't afford to be. I can't be in a viral video.
No.
You know, about anything. My day job. So.
Yeah, Kevin, I agree with you. Like, I don't care if people want to wear one. Like, of course, I think it's silly, but I don't feel like anybody should be forcing me to do anything. You know, like, I feel like I am mature enough to make decisions for myself. If I felt like I was sick, yeah, sure, why not? Because I feel like, you know, the virus is, if it's as deadly as they say, and I had it, I wouldn't want to harm anyone. But I'm healthy. I don't have any issues. I don't feel sick. So I don't feel the need to, what am I protecting myself from?
Right.
You know? And if you're sick, then why are you going outside when you could affect other people? I mean, we already know, if you, like any other year, if you're sick, then you don't go to work. You don't go around your friends. So I'm unsure why we can't do the same thing that we always do. If you're sick, stay home. If you're healthy, then do what you need to do.
Right.
Yeah, it's a new world, isn't it? It's a new world, new ideas, social distancing. Have y'all ever heard that term before, Mark? The term social distancing? I haven't.
No.
These are new ideas. And so the question is, are they good ideas?
No.
Yeah. Because that's not the human experience, social distance. Because for one thing, they can't do that in Asia. Social distancing is impossible in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll just from a single man standpoint, this social distancing thing in Asia sucks.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. You know?
Well, I mean, one of the things we need is touch. We need to be around humans. And so I honestly feel like they know what they're doing. And, I mean, this is probably a little bit of a conspiracy, but I feel like they're kind of doing it on purpose to keep us, you know, they're also keeping us away from church and gatherings like that. And it's really lowering our frequencies and just making all of us sad. And when you're in that mindset, when you have fear, when you're scared, it's a lot easier to control you.
Right. Yep. Fear is the number one thing they have to get you to be able to control. And once they have you afraid, then they got you. So, I agree with you. I have some conspiracy theory ideas too. but you know, it's just the first thing to go. The first thing to go was church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was the thing. You know, you can't sing, you can't go to church. You can go to a riot, or you can go to a peaceful protest, but you can't go to church. You know what? California leads the way in that, don't they? The whole regulations on singing.
You can't do anything in California.
Why?
So we have a comment from Benjamin. He said he's voting for Trump to keep us out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and carbon tax Democrats are trying to impose. Carbon emissions have nothing to do with cooling and warming phases of the Earth. You know what? I kind of agree with that, because I used to believe in climate change, but honestly, now that I know about HARP and everything, I don't believe it. You know, anything that's going on with the weather I feel like it's personally being manipulated.
Well, the question we got to ask ourselves is higher taxes and government policies and government regulations going to help make the weather be better?
Exactly.
I think that is a legitimate question to ask. And I don't feel like it's being asked. Let's just assume that the Green New Deal and other programs are going to what stopped flooding. Like, we've had flooding for forever. So it's just like, well, it's an attack on fossil fuels is what it is, which is hilarious because plexiglass, quote-unquote green energy requires non-renewable energy. It just does.
Right.
Batteries, the metal, the oil within the big wind turbines. Like, you can't get away from oil. So...
I agree with him. I don't believe in climate change. I think everything is a cycle, and we're going to go through cycles. I think that it's all, again, fear.
Well, when you see prediction after prediction after prediction not coming true, we should probably do another live stream someday where we just watch An Inconvenient Truth. What year did that come out? It was obviously after Gore lost the election. It was early 2000s, wasn't it, when Gore came out with Inconvenient Truth? 2001, 2002, 2003, something like that?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, and so predictions have been made for a very long time. And 10 to 12 years is a very common thing. AOC has said the world's going to end in 12 years. She used the word end.
Yes.
12 years. It's like that's like a magical number of years that if we don't do something now, then 12 years from now something bad's going to happen. It's like Al Gore has already said that a long time ago. So, there are literally YouTube channels devoted to roasting, other media like movies and such. Like that would be, if it could be planned well, I think it could be quite entertaining to watch Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth movie and just roast it, like live or something. That would be quite, because I think there's a graphic he has in that movie where like one of the polar ice caps literally melts to nothing, and it's like that didn't happen, obviously. And he actually gives dates as to when things are probably going to happen. And we're past those dates. We're past 2010. We're past 2013 now. So how many of these predictions came true, Al Gore? I guess it's not very many.
Everything is about fear, and, your reality is created by what you see. And so just like in the news, that's why I don't watch the news anymore, is because when they keep showing you something over and over and over, whether it's true or not, eventually you're going to believe it.
There's so many narratives that I doubt every day. Whether or not the government programs like Texas can help the weather be better, the wisdom of masks. Dr. Fauci is Mr. Mask. And it's like, and he's on the cover of Time magazine, Mr. Mask, mandate goggles. Well, he doesn't say mandate goggles, he recommends goggles. Like, I wonder how that would work. You just wear a full bodysuit, I guess, right?
Well, they're actually coming out with these suits where it covers your body and your arms are just sticking out, and I don't understand how. Maybe it's because I don't watch the news, but I just do not understand the logic behind it. Like, how are you this scared, but you're still willing to come out of the house? Like,
the only suit I'm going to be wearing is a ghillie suit.
That's it.
Sniping. But, not going to.
It's sad.
I've seen a lot of things, these things that you put up, from your shoulders up, and you put a filter in the back of it for breathing, but it's all clear plastic on the front. Like,
Was it that TikTok?
I don't know.
Where the guy puts it over his head and it's just massively, and it's taller, and it's above his, basically going through a door is gonna be really hard, right?
I don't know. I don't have a TikTok, so I don't know. But I think that this was like a real thing. Like, they're really trying to
absolutely
push something, and I'm like, what world are we living in?
The market responds. That's the thing. The market responds. There's now a market for everything and anything that's going to cover our bodies.
Yeah, they have COVID stores now.
Pretty much. And you really can't blame the market for doing that.
Well, no, of course.
There's a market for masks and face shields and all. Like, remember in April, it was really hard to find a mask in the store.
Oh, I thought that was toilet paper.
Well, that right, but no, remember, like
yes, I know.
Those non-surgical masks, really cheap masks, really couldn't be found very well
right.
in April, and now they're everywhere, and they're all over the ground, and they're filthy, more trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see them all the time.
Yep, I've been canvassing, and I see them, like when I'm walking down the street, I see them all over the street. They're getting on animals because the loops are tying around their necks, and I mean, it just seems like it's doing more harm, honestly.
Yep.
Okay.
Trade-offs.
So exactly, but what are we really trading? Our freedom. So voting experience.
Yes.
So I have only voted, I think this is maybe my third time voting. I think. I'm 28, so I think it's my third time voting. And I voted Democrat those times before because I didn't know. I thought that I didn't really need to care about my vote. I didn't really think that my vote mattered, just because of what other people told me. And I voted Democrat because my parents were Democrat, and because of the media, I was brainwashed into believing that Orange Man bad. And so this year is my first year voting Republican. And in the past, it's so weird because when I would hear that somebody was a Republican, I would automatically be like, oh my gosh, like, why are you Republican? And to be honest, I never even knew what they stood for. I just had that bias that Republicans were bad. I didn't really have any logic or reason for it, and I kind of feel bad about it now because I'm realizing that Republicans stand for everything I stand for. I don't want to be bothered by the government. I don't want people, trying to take more money from me. I'm a hard worker. I like doing things for myself. I'm self-motivated. And so if you watch my video on my channel, I've always really been a conservative. I just didn't know that I really was.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I voted in a number of presidential elections. First presidential election I think I voted for was in 2000, and I was eligible for. I had gone back and forth between voting Republican and voting third party, and I did not vote for Trump in 2016. And the last 4 years, going on 4 years, I hate having this mindset, but I kind of do. And that I'm not as much voting for a party, but against a party. And so that's what I did when I voted this past Friday, is I voted against the Democrats, voting for the Republicans. Now, the Republican Party has done nothing but disappoint, because they've had the majority. They've had president in both bodies of Congress for periods of time, and that's why I voted third party in some elections. But it's just like, we got to have some change. And one of those changes could be the Democrat Party splits apart. And Tulsi Gabbard, I think, is probably not a Democrat anymore. She did not run for re-election. Tulsi Gabbard.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I think that's her way of exiting the Democratic Party. And she voted present for both articles of impeachment in the House. So I respect her in a lot of ways. Don't agree with her in a lot of things, but I've seen her interviewed. She's smart. I really like her.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Kevin.
I've voted quite a bit. I did not vote in 2016. I had moved, and I hadn't moved everything, and I didn't. But this year I've early voted.
Yeah.
I voted already, and 2016. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like I was a Trump supporter. That I really wasn't. I thought it was interesting that he was running at first. But then the more I would listen to him, the more I liked him, mainly because he wasn't a politician.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like he made a comment one time about it's easy to be presidential. It's hard to do what I do. You know, anybody can stand up here and be presidential. You know, and I agree with him. I like I said, I like the fact that he's hardcore. You know, I like the fact that he is you know, a lot of people say, well, he's a ruthless businessman. Right. I'm okay with that. He's dealing with our economy.
Yeah.
He's dealing with our security. I want someone in there who's going to be, I'm sorry, but I don't think a lot about, I think primarily first America. Then we'll think about everybody else. Mm-hmm. But we have to think about America first. We have to think about our economy first. We have to think about what we are doing for us first. And I don't understand how people can say, oh, well, what about this country or that country? Well, let's take care of us. You know, it's kind of like take care of your own household. Take care of your own household. Then you can take care of other people. Kind of like, you know, on the plane, put your own mask on before you can help others. You know, so that's why, you know, this year I did vote early because I really felt like this year was going to be a big year, and I wanted to make sure that my vote either counted or canceled out somebody else's vote for the other side. You know, one of the
we're at the point, I think, where every presidential election is the most important presidential election of our time. That's what it's come down to, I think. Yep. And speaking of that, when do y'all think we're going to know who the next president's going to be?
Well, I'm hoping that we will know, like, at least the next morning. But and I don't know if you guys saw, but Kavanaugh, he was made to retract his, I don't know if it was like a statement or a judgment that he made, but now they're going to allow mail-in ballots to be counted, I think, up to 9 days after.
Wow.
Which, I mean, they're saying it's because of the COVID restrictions or whatever, but I mean, I just feel like it's ridiculous. We had so much time to get your vote in. We had, like, I don't really feel like everybody needs that much time, and it just allows more, you know, election interference. So I really don't know. I'm hoping we all know the next day, but at this point, it's really up in the air.
Well, we're setting a precedent, and if this is the route we're going to go, then every presidential election is not going to be determined for 9 days, 10 days, half a month, a full month, till after that first Tuesday in November, if this is the route we're going to go, every 4 years. I mean, we already experienced it with the Florida fiasco in 2000. We already experienced it, but it was just in one place.
Right.
But now, potentially, we can experience the chaos in many places.
Well,
this is going to be something.
A deadline has to be a deadline. And if you're, as far as I don't agree with the mail-in voting unless you have applied for an absentee ballot. You know,
right?
I think that, you know, if you can go vote, go vote. If you don't feel like you can go vote, that's fine. You know, but you need to vote absentee, and there has to be a postmarked date whenever that is placed in the mail. You know, if you want to say, okay, as long as but it needs to be postmarked early enough that it's in before the election.
Yep.
You know, if that's the way you want to vote.
I'm not totally opposed to counting ballots after election day, but 9 days, 9 days.
It's ridiculous.
Oh man, that's a long time. You know?
It's a really long time. I mean, that's over a week. Like, come on. I mean, I can understand like 48 hours, maybe even 72. But like I said, we've had all this time to make the proper arrangements. So, like, it just doesn't, I mean, like you said, if we allow it to happen this time, that means next time we have an election, we might as well not even have a deadline. Just vote whenever you want, honestly.
Yeah.
Right.
Just new ideas, universal mail-in ballots. I mean, again, I think in some states and some places, voting by mail was very common. We just didn't think about it too much. But because of COVID, it's ratcheted up. And the governors, a lot of governors have come out and said, they tweeted out, universal mail-in ballots. And I never heard these terms before. These are new ideas to me. And I doubt a lot of them. Mask mandates. All of it. So, I mean, just got to hope and pray for the best, obviously. And I can't afford to stay up too late on Monday night. Tuesday night. That's the election. Tuesday night. 2 days from now. It'll be a night, won't it?
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. I don't know how I'm gonna feel. Last time I actually was upset because I didn't vote for him. So I'm hoping this time I get to be happy and cheer. But I feel like I don't even know. I'm kind of anxious, just to see what will happen.
Yep. Well, if Trump wins this, it'll be something. And if Trump wins this, he will have beaten 2 career politicians. And he was a former reality TV show host before. That doesn't happen. It shouldn't have happened in 2016. And it could very well happen twice. What a story to tell.
Right.
Yep. So. Well, it's been. I've had a blast. I've had a great time. Maybe Brett, thank you for inviting me to your channel.
Yes.
Yes.
Great chat. So hopefully we'll see. We'll be on the edge of our seats. So hopefully we won't have to wait too long to find out the results. And hopefully we get a win for Trump. That would be beautiful. Because, like you said, Kevin, we do need to take care of our country first. Because if America fails, the rest of the country fails, or the rest of the world fails, rather.
Right.
I'm very thankful. As much as we're struggling now in America, I'm very thankful for living here. We still live like kings and queens. Hit a button, get food in the mail. Seriously, when has that happened in human history? I'm very thankful.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Thank you for having us on. Thank both of you for inviting me out for
of course
a conversation.
Yes, thank you guys for coming and chatting. So I'll talk to you guys later, and you guys have a great night. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Of course.